Okay, this is bad lighting. This is going to make me look really bald with all the hair loss, right? Good evening. Thank you so much for turning up in such large numbers. This is overwhelming, you know. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Ven, Ram, Raju Anna, and to all the TiE Charter members and to everybody that's present here. In fact, as I was getting out of my hotel after a series of meetings all day, the question before me was to be or not to be. To be dressed formally or not to be dressed formally. Well, I figured I'm in the Silicon Valley. I figured, I could get away with probably dressing up informally. But then I said, I'm going to a TiE event. No, I better wear a tie. So that's how I ended up, wearing a tie and all. So anyways, the guys, I should really sincerely thank you because I think what Ven has said really struck a chord, honestly, because the one thing he said, which was remarkable, when India hadn't opened its gates, when India hadn't really chosen the path of welcoming foreign direct investment, liberalization, call it whatever, at that point in time to actually take a stand and say, creating wealth and getting it distributed and creating employment by way of it is a good thing, is actually a great call to make, and congratulate the entire TiE team actually for making it happen. Guys, and the second thing I also know, and I appreciate you guys very much, when anybody of Indian origin, Indian American who's made it successful here, be it in the Valley or elsewhere, I completely understand your mindset because I've lived here myself for a few years, not very long. I lived here for about 7 years. I went to school here, and then I worked here. So I do understand where you come from. When a TiE entrepreneur invests in India, you're not just investing economically. You're not just putting in your money. You're putting in a lot of emotion. You want to give something back to your country. And I think that's what sets TiE apart from the rest of the organizations across the world. So congratulations on completing 25 last year. Congratulations on hosting the Honorable Prime Minister. Congratulations on doing so many wonderful things. I think you've really made us all proud. And today, TiE has a name to reckon with, competing with many, many organizations across the world. And I think you've done remarkably well for yourself. So I think you deserve one good round of applause for the entire team of TiE. Okay, before I go on and introduce the state of Telangana to you, I think I'd rather talk about the story of India today. I think India today actually as a country presents probably the best business case, best business opportunity that nobody in the world can actually ignore. If someone actually ignores the India opportunity, they're only doing it at their peril. If you ask me, just in terms of numbers, it's the fastest growing economy in the world. Let me repeat. India today at 7.3% is the fastest growing economy in the world. India is also, in fact, a huge market in itself. A lot of times we actually overlook this fact. With 1.2 billion and counting and more and more on the way, I think we are, as a country, one of the largest markets in the world. So India's story can't just be about creating a product or being a back office for the rest of the world. India today in itself is a great business opportunity, is a compelling business opportunity, is forcing the world to sit up and take notice. And while the world obviously looks at India, there are certain things which we have to get right. There are certain things which we have to set right. For example, while we do have a large skilled workforce, I do believe that there is scope to do so much better. I do believe that there is so much more we can do in terms of making our young children who are about to graduate readily employable. We produce a great many engineers, but how many of them are readily employable on the day they graduate? Not many, if you ask me. So we have a lot of inherent challenges. We have a lot of very, very interesting programs. Skill India, Digital India, Clean India, Green India, Startup India. A lot of very, very ambitious programs. And for a country like India, if it really has to break into the big league, we are on the cusp of breaking into the big league. We are on the cusp of exploding actually in terms of growth and actually breaking into the big league. But if we have to get there, if we have to be there and if we have to be taken seriously by the world, I think we have to get certain things right. And that is where I think technology comes into play. Technology today is such a great leveler. It gives the young Indians today an opportunity to compete because the world is flat when it comes to technology. The world is flat in the sense the next big breakthrough, irrespective of where you're from, irrespective of whether you're from India, United States, Israel, UK, Turkey, Timbuktu, doesn't matter. As long as you have an idea that you can make work. I think today the world presents a fantastic opportunity which definitely India needs to absorb and take that as a fantastic opportunity. And that's where what the United States, I believe in this very, very strongly. What the United States was able to do in 50 years, I think India is capable of doing it in the next 15 years. That is because of technology, that is because of the opportunity that we have, and that definitely is because of the young Indian entrepreneurs. In fact, when our Honorable Chief Minister, a fighter himself, a man who fought for the state of Telangana for about 14 long years, when he was at the World Economic Forum at Dalian, the Summer Economic Forum in China, this is what he has said. He spoke on behalf of the country. He didn't speak on behalf of Telangana. He said, a lot of people think India is at a crossroads. That's not true anymore. India has chosen a path of reforms, and we are moving at a great speed. Trust me, there are some really good things happening. When Wen said, we want our politicians, to speak the language of business. We want to look up to our politicians. I think he's absolutely right. What do we want from our political class today? We want certain changes to be effected. We want them to basically understand and empathize with the young Indians, with the aspirations of Indians across the world, and ensure that we compete with the rest of the world as well. Just to give you a perspective, the youngest state in India today, Telangana, was created exactly 2 years ago. In fact, as of day after tomorrow, 2nd June, we complete 2 years. So that'll be our second anniversary. But in the 24 months that we've been around, in fact, a lot of my American friends who were either born here or brought up here or, who hail from here, they don't understand the concept of a new state. A lot of them ask me, what is this new state business? So, well, I tried answering them in a lot of ways. I tried telling them that the Constitution of India allows, unlike in the US, for the creation of a new state. So we actually went about an agitation. We finally, in a democracy, we got our way, and we had the numbers. We convinced a lot of parties, and eventually a new state was born. But they don't get it. So I chose the easy path. I told them, what happened was a marriage between Telangana and Andhra about 55 years ago, and we couldn't get along, I think it's all the married guys who are laughing. I'm married too, by the way. So we couldn't get along, It was just an incompatible marriage. We just never could get along. So we tried. We tried really hard. We had a baby too, by the way, Hyderabad. So finally, both parties said, it's not working. Let's get out of it. So eventually the divorce happened. And we do have the joint custody of this one kid, Hyderabad, for the next 10 years. So that's, when I put it this way, everybody gets it in America. Everybody's like, oh yeah, that I understand. I know what you're saying. So Telangana is the youngest state in India today. Fortunately for us, as a young state, when you get to make a clean slate beginning, when you're not burdened by legacy, there are some changes that you can effect. There are some things that you can really change. In fact, just to give you a quick profile, the capital of the state is Hyderabad. And there is this misconception among a lot of Indians, to be precise, that Telangana is a small state. No, we are not a small state. By no yardstick are we small. In fact, we are bigger than West Bengal. I don't know how many of you know this. We're bigger than West Bengal in terms of both population and size. We are about 44,340 square kilometers. The population is, in fact, that was 2011 census. It is more than Canada or Punjab for that matter. And all the Punjabis in Canada as well, by the way. And there are lots of them, And we are one of those states. We are one of those few states which are extremely urbanized. In fact, as we speak, Telangana is one of the rare states in India where the urban population is nearly 43%. The country average is about 30%. Telangana is one of those states where urbanization is rapid, which is a good thing if you ask me, because urbanization in Telangana or in India is linked to economic activity, is linked to employment opportunities, is linked to a better way of life, is linked to a better standard of living. So therefore, Telangana today, in fact, is the only other state in India which is a revenue surplus state, other than the other state being Prime Minister Modi's home state of Gujarat. So out of the 29 states in India today, only 2 states are revenue surplus, that is Gujarat and Telangana. What does it do by way of being a revenue surplus state? It gives you the economic buoyancy. It gives you that ability to go out, raise money, borrow money from financial institutions, and go for that expedited growth, expedited infrastructure story, expedited trajectory that we all dream of for India. So having said that, these are other statistics, how many households and what kind of industries. But the most important statistics that I would like you to look at is the compounded annual growth rate. Telangana is growing at a breakneck speed. We're growing at 16.53%. While the country, India is growing rapidly, Telangana is growing even more rapidly. Even in terms of IT, the ministry that I represent, while the country grew at about 13% in terms of IT exports out of India, Telangana is growing at 16%. So we are definitely doing a lot better than the national average when it comes to the growth story. Now, the other things that I wanted to quickly touch upon. As a new state, like I said, after a protracted struggle, after a battle that took decades, and after a hard-fought battle, now is the time for Telangana leadership to deliver. Therefore, our Honorable Chief Minister, who's a man who comes from the grassroots, is a man who's actually fought his way up in life and has always had to fight against all the odds. All the odds were insurmountably stacked up against him, but he fought his way through all his life. And today, because he comes from a grassroots background, he actually knows the value of focusing on basics. We can talk about Googles, Amazons, Ubers, and Apples choosing Hyderabad today. That's all fancy stuff. But what does India need also at the same time? We need good, clean water. We need environment to be taken care of. We need good infrastructure. We need power. We need irrigation. We need water conservation. We need the basics to be addressed. That's something our Chief Minister is very, very cognizant of. In fact, he's one of those rare politicians, a rare breed man, who's done exceptionally well in terms of identifying the pulse of the people and going by that. And therefore, when it came to implementing policies or formulating policies, he went around. When it came to formulating the industrial policy of Telangana, he actually traveled to Singapore, which is supposed to have the best industrial policy in the world. We imbibed certain best practices because wise people always learn from somebody else's experience. You don't want to commit the same mistake twice. So therefore, he's somebody who believes very strongly in understanding that we don't know everything. There are domain experts for everything. So pick their brains, get the knowledge, ensure that best practices are followed here as well. Today, not just India, but Telangana is growing through an important juncture. As we complete our 2 years, we have chosen this path. We have really fought hard. Now is the time we know, and now is the opportunity to bring about some transformatory changes, which definitely will raise the bar as we go along. I'll show you, which will raise the bar for the rest of the states in India also to follow. Telangana believes in one simple philosophy. We believe that people are temporary. We believe policies are permanent. We believe individuals are temporary, ephemeral. We can disappear anytime. But institutions are permanent. So therefore, we have embarked on a strong mission, a determined mission, to ensure that we build processes and policies and institutions and not focus on individuals. Now, the strategy we've chosen is threefold. As I said, while focusing on the basics, we've also chosen to, while we choose to address the basic issues that plague India today, and as any state like Telangana today, at the same time, we've also embarked upon a very, very ambitious agenda to effect some policy changes which are long-lasting, which are sustainable, which are of permanent in nature. If you just look at this slide, what we've done essentially is we've basically broadly broken our thinking into three aspects. One, agriculture and allied sectors. Two, industry and infrastructure. Three, welfare. Because in a country like India, where there are a lot of poor people, where the poverty, below the poverty population outnumbers your other population above poverty line, it is imperative that a government should take care of the vulnerable section to begin with and then start planning around it. One of the most impressive and interesting policy that we have come out with is the Telangana State Industrial Policy. Let me just reel out three salient features of this policy. One, we allow for self-certification, meaning any entrepreneur coming into Telangana today, if you want to launch your enterprise in the state of Telangana, we understand that you're not only investing your money, you're also investing, like I said, emotionally. So we believe that when you have a choice of investing in any state across the country, or probably for that matter, any country in the world, the very fact that you've chosen us means that you've actually done us a favor. So what we've decided to do is, we've decided to repose faith in the investor, and we've decided to give him or her the opportunity to certify themselves as being in compliance with the law of the land. Because we do believe that the investor would have done his due diligence, and only after that they would come to the state of Telangana. So self-certification is something unique in the country. Nobody allows you to do this. Any other state in India today can't have a claim to that. In fact, what we also allow for regulatory purposes, we obviously have to give a formal clearance. While I do say that we don't have to give a clearance in principle, for regulatory purposes, I have to know who's doing business in our state. So therefore, we ask all the investors, prospective investors, to put in an application online, and we promise them clearances through a single window in 15 days. Well, you might say, what is so great about it? A lot of people actually say single window, a lot of people say time-bound clearances, and how are you different? We are different in one sense. In India, typically accountability is a big issue when it comes to governments. Governments promise a lot of things, but when they don't deliver, you can't do much. But in our case, you can. One thing you can do is, like I said, we promise clearances in 15 days. If we don't deliver in 15 days, on the 16th day, your application is deemed to have been approved. It is a yes by default. No other state in India will tell you this. This is revolutionary. Secondly, we take our accountability business very, very seriously. I have Jayesh Ranjan here, who is an Indian Administrative Service Officer, who is the gentleman who runs our IT department, who is the Secretary of IT department. He's a senior bureaucrat. He's been in government business for about 20 plus years now. And we have many more like him who actually are the vital cogs in the wheel when it comes to running a well-oiled machinery called government. Now, even Jayesh Ranjan is not exception to this very, very thing that I just mentioned. Today in Telangana, if we do not give you a clearance in 15 days, not only is it a default approval, it also allows you, we are liable as a government for penal action. In fact, a gentleman like Jayesh Ranjan, who is a secretary, senior officer in the government, has to pay a penalty of 1,000 rupees per day for the delay he or she has caused. This is again unheard of in Indian context for any Indian state. So that is the kind of policy making that Telangana has been talking about. Just to give you a quick example, Micromax is a very popular handset maker across the world. In fact, they're one among the top 10 handset makers in the world. When they came to us about 6 months ago, we gave them all clearances in one go, a docket of clearances in one go in less than 10 days. And from scratch to production commencement, commercial production, it took them a flat record time of 6 months. In fact, I could even play a video where the founder was talking about how hassle-free it was in terms of doing business in Telangana. That's the kind of policies that we are now practicing. In fact, just to give you a quick snippet, so far along in the last 10 months, we gave out nearly 1,700 clearances in a time-bound manner in less than 15 days. Out of these 1,700, more than half of them are already in a commercial production stage. So that goes to show you the kind of seriousness that there is among the administration and also the investment community. When it comes to, well, let me just play a quick video of Rajesh Agarwal, who spoke at the inauguration of Micromax facility.
Today we are here for a very noble cause, right? And it could not have been possible without the support of Telangana government. I still remember, I think in June or July, I was sitting in my cabin, I got a call from Mr. Arvind. He wanted to come to Delhi to meet me, and we met. And next 7 days, I think I was here in Hyderabad. We said, okay, we'll go and have a manufacturing unit in Hyderabad. Or within 7 days, I must appreciate. And boys and girls, I am not saying because a lot of people from the government are sitting out here. Generally, the government and the business doesn't go together. but I must appreciate the efforts of the Telangana government. It is awesome. Absolutely superb. I can vouch this to anybody in the country. We had a first mover advantage. Absolutely a great conducive environment. We had a cooperation from at all levels, not only at the politics level, which is the minister's level, or maybe the senior bureaucracy level, even the people at the government or at the ground staff also. हम लोगों को क्या support मिला? I'll like to highlight one of the incidents out here. जब हम लोग यहाँ पे प्रोडक्शन करने के लिए फैक्ट्री बना रहे थे, यहाँ पर हमारे पास बिजली नहीं थी, एंड हमारे पूरे के पूरे लोग काफ़ी परेशान थे, बिजली नहीं है, बिजली नहीं है, बिजली नहीं है. एंड हम लोगों ने प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी अरविंद जी को फ़ोन किया. हमने कहा साहब हमको बिजली नहीं मिल रही है एंड वी आर एक्चुअली फाइंडिंग इट वेरी वेरी टफ. कैन यू इमेजिन, हमने सुबह फ़ोन किया था और दोपहर को हमारे यहाँ ट्रक खड़ा था कि जहाँ पर कि वो बिजली की पूरी इरेक्शन करने आ गए थे विद इन 4 hours. So I am happy to say promises were kept along the way. We had a quick approvals. We had actually absolutely swift pace of clearances and a great environment to stay out here.
So not only in terms of ease of doing business, in fact, even on the scale of cost of doing business and quality of doing business. In fact, Telangana today ranks really high up there from an investor perspective. In fact, just to draw a quick parallel between, I know the competition, vying for investments is not just between the Indian states or Indian cities, but when one has decided to make an investment in India and one decides to, scope and compare the different Indian cities or different Indian states, I would say Telangana would rank really high up because of the value for money. The biggest bang for your return, the biggest bang for your buck, in fact, is in Telangana today. And the reason why I say this is because if you take a look at the kind of infrastructure we have versus the kind of cost that we offer you at, I think that in itself is a great proposition that you cannot ignore. Say, for example, if we have to compare ourselves to a Bangalore, say, because they are the leaders in information technology, and if we have to just draw a quick parallel and a quick comparison, we have twice the infrastructure of a city like Bangalore, but at 1/2 the cost. So therefore, with everything else being the same, in terms of human resources, in terms of governance, in terms of market opportunity, in terms of all other avenues, Telangana today, therefore, presents an opportunity that no investor can ignore. Just a couple of things quickly here. We believe in maximum facilitation and minimum inspection. I'm a firm believer in this theory, that government should not poke its nose in areas where it doesn't belong. I've lived here in the United States for about 7 years. I was a student here. Then I actually was employed for about 6-7 years. I only had to go to a government office once, to the DMV office, obviously, to get my license. Other than that, there was no interface whatsoever with the government. Well, there was this one exception of me getting a ticket where I had to interact with the cop, but that's a different story. I'm not going there. Point I'm trying to make is, the minimally intrusive you are as a government, you are encouraging free market, you are encouraging a free market dynamic to play itself, to actually make sure that you look that much more attractive. We are a firm believer in that theory. Our Chief Minister keeps telling us every so often. He says, minimum government, maximum governance. Governance is not about being seen or heard. Governance is all about being felt. Governance should not be seen. It's not about having a cop every 100 meters. It's not about having inspections every so often. Governance is about facilitating. Governance is about giving the right kind of infrastructure. Governance is all about being minimally intrusive. That's something that we believe very, very firmly in. And therefore, I believe today we are definitely setting the bar really high up. We have made our inspections very, very easy for manufacturing sector. And these inspections are hassle-free. There's not one single inspector who gets assigned to a particular block. These are randomly generated, randomly picked up inspections. And when you have to do multiple inspections by multiple departments, we ensure that they all go in one go. We ensure go together and finish it off in one go so that the investor is not hassled. Now, quality of doing business has significantly improved and cost of doing business has significantly come down as a result of this. Coming to the IT vision of the government of Telangana. As you all know, IT is a sector where we've done reasonably well in the last 20 years or so. In fact, the foundation was laid by the erstwhile governments in erstwhile state of Andhra Pradesh, and we have definitely taken off and continued from where they have left off. In fact, I'm very, very happy to share with you. In the last 23 months, by virtue of our Honorable Chief Minister's positive posturing and positive policies, proactive policies, today, Telangana actually is home to 4 out of the most 5 valued technology companies in the world. With Apple's announcement as of last week, today Telangana is actually home to Apple, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, and Uber. All of them have their largest operations outside of the United States in Hyderabad, in Telangana. I'm very, very happy to share this with you. But it's not just about being a back office for the rest of the world. Therefore, we've set upon a very, very ambitious agenda to ensure that we ride also the next waves of growth, to give our Indian youngsters, because I believe in this theory very, very strongly. I became the IT minister about 2 years ago. So therefore, I started looking at what's going on in the world. I'm active on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I follow what's happening. When I saw this deal happen, I was amazed. In fact, I was zapped. When I saw WhatsApp getting valuated at $19 billion and getting acquired by Facebook, I think it was, I was confused. It threw me off. In my opinion, it's something that could have been created by anybody. It is not rocket science. It's a very, very simple tool, very, very simple protocol, nothing out of the world, but it gets valuated at $19 billion. While it confused people like me, it enthused the Indian youngsters. In today's world, where I said, the world is a flat world, the world we live in is a flat world, today's youngsters in India are not content in being known as the back office of the world. They want more. Dil mange more, you know. They want to do, they have global aspirations. They want to compete with the best in the world. They want to create world-class products, which can also cater to America, which can cater to the best in the world as well. So therefore, we've decided to ride the next waves of growth. We want to be recognized as a state of Telangana. We want to be recognized as a leader in key emerging technologies, not only for information technology exports and IT-enabled services. We also want to make our presence felt in emerging technologies. We also want to ensure, while we tell the world that we are capable of solving your problems and analyzing your problems and doing good work, we also want to ensure that we leverage technology to improve the lives of our own citizens in India. We also want to empower citizens to make sure that they leverage this opportunity to connect, to get better services from the government and the private sector as well. And we also want to ensure that we become a global hub for tech entrepreneurship. When we have so many pockets of technology development across the world, what makes Silicon Valley what it is today? If you ask me, it's the ecosystem. It's the ecosystem that has been created over a period of time, which then is sustained by several enterprising individuals from across the world who've come here, made their mark felt, and today, that's what makes Silicon Valley special. That's why we're sitting here and talking to each other. So we want to emulate that kind of an ecosystem. Now, we've been elected for 5 years. As you know, politicians, we have to go back to people and seek a fresh mandate every 5 years. So therefore, we have set a 5-year agenda for ourselves. We've decided to double our IT and IT-enabled services from Hyderabad. In fact, today, as we speak, we almost have $11 billion worth of exports from Telangana and Hyderabad. We want to double it. In fact, we want to double it in the next 5 years. We want to take it to almost $22 billion. Likewise, the current direct employment provided by the IT sector in Hyderabad is about 400,000. That is the direct employment, and the indirect employment is almost 3 or 4 times that. We also want to ensure that we establish more and more IT centers, Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities also as IT hubs. In terms of electronics manufacturing, Government of India says, make in India. Government of India can say anything, but the fact remains, the action is in the states. Unless a state takes upon itself and actually drives the growth opportunity, sells itself, projects itself across the world, and ensures that we receive that interest and we ensure that we translate that interest into action, we can't really break that jinx. So when it comes to electronics manufacturing today, subject to correction, I think India imports $150 billion worth of hardware every year. That's the kind of opportunity there is to make in India. Now, the potential again is huge to attract at least, even if we scratch the surface, we'll be able to attract almost $3 billion in the next 5 years is what we believe, create a direct employment to 160,000 people, enhance production from the current $1 billion to almost $7 billion. Likewise, entrepreneurship. This is a story which I'm very, very excited about when it comes to talking about it. Today, Hyderabad, in the last 6 months, we've created the country's largest technology incubator. It's called the TiE Hub, in association with IIIT Hyderabad, ISB Hyderabad, and Nalsar Hyderabad, which provide tech mentorship, business mentorship, and also IP and legal mentorship. Today, Hyderabad boasts of the country's largest technology incubator. We have created a very, very collaborative platform, which has done exceptionally well. In fact, when we launched TiE Hub on the 5th of November, I was very particular to have Mr. Ratan Tata inaugurated. A lot of people ask me, why do you want Mr. Tata for this? He's not from the tech sector. I mean, there are so many guys who've done exceptionally well in the tech world, and you could have called any one of them to basically get this inaugurated. I only had one thing in mind. When somebody utters the name Tata, what do you think of? You think of big automotives, you think of steel, you think of robust manufacturing industry. You don't typically associate the name Tata with startups and innovation. But today, I think Mr. Tata is a symbol of the transformation that's sweeping India. Here's a septuagenarian who's done exceptionally in his career, and today we see him encouraging the youngsters in India by way of investing in startups every so often. So that's exactly the spirit of India that we wanted to capture. We wanted Mr. Tata to come in, inaugurate this on the 5th of November. He came to Hyderabad, he inaugurated TiE Hub, and he said one thing which really stands out in memory. He called it the new face of India. He said, this gives me hope, this gives me energy to do more and more and more. So that's the kind of spirit that we've been able to capture. That's the kind of facility that we've been able to create by way of TiE Hub. The intent of TiE Hub is basically to provide incubation and mentorship support to about 5,000 startups in the next 5 years. Today, we already have more than 200 startups working in TiE Hub. In fact, more than 1,000 people have written to us saying we want to be a part of this. Unfortunately, we could not accommodate all of them. In fact, TiE Hub is not just an incubator. TiE Hub is an incubator of incubators, meaning TiE Hub has a Microsoft working with its accelerator program. TiE Hub has several other entities also housing their own incubation centers within the premises. So that gives an opportunity to network, collaborate, etc. The biggest kick I get when I talk about TiE Hub is, I received an email rather. See, I'm old world, that's why I keep saying letters. I received an email from an 11th grader in Hyderabad. This kid, he writes to me, he's from Chirek Public School in Hyderabad. He's an 11th grader. He writes to me saying, dear Mr. KTR, I'd like to come meet you. I have a startup idea. I'd like to pitch it to you, and I would want to be a part of TiE Hub. I was intrigued, to say the least. So I invite him over. He comes with his friend in his school uniform. Obviously, he didn't tell his parents that he was going to come and meet me. So he comes in, and I was amused, and I was looking at him, and he makes this presentation on his iPad, which I thought was fascinating. He wants to change the world. He wants to create the next big social networking platform for India, exclusive focus on India. He says Facebook is for the world. Why can't I do a Jack Ma and build a social networking site for India? I thought that in itself was such a huge kick, because ultimately when you can get your youngsters enthused, ultimately when you can get your next generation all pumped up, I think that's when you know India is headed in the right direction, and India is definitely going to make its mark felt across the world. The other thing we're very, very kicked about also is, just this afternoon, I met a gentleman, I'm not going to name names, I met a gentleman who's doing business in India. He has a big development center, a 2 million square foot campus, where he's employed more than a few thousand people, and he complains about attrition. He says, my industry, my attrition in India is much higher than what it is in Silicon Valley. He also has a significant presence here. So when he tells me that, I offered him one thing. I said, we have this facility. We have this amazing, unique opportunity called TASK. TASK basically stands for Telangana Academy for Skill and Knowledge. What we do essentially is bring about an alignment of expectation between what the industry wants and between what is being imparted in our academic institutions today. We try to bring about that fantastic marriage, which ensures that the attrition rate goes low. In fact, which also ensures, at TASK, we can develop a curriculum based on your requirement, irrespective of what sector of technology you're in. We can develop a curriculum, we can train the human resources at our cost, and we can offer them to you free of cost. This is again very, very unique to Telangana. No other state in India promises you this. No other state in India will tell you that we'll go out on a limb, we'll train your workforce, and we'll give you ready-made workforce. So that's the kind of initiative we have also taken upon ourselves. The other thing we are very, very proud of, we are very keen to promote the Digital India concept by way of creating more digital infrastructure. We are currently working on a very ambitious project, a $7 billion worth Telangana drinking water project, as part of which we are going to give tapped water connection, portable drinking water connection to each and every household in Telangana, which is almost about 8.5 million households. And when we are doing it, in this process we are going to lay about 150,000 kilometers of pipeline to ensure, to basically dig up the entire landscape and to lay this pipeline. So when we are doing it, we decided that we will piggyback on this. We'll ensure that once you are laying the water pipelines, we'll also simultaneously put in fiber optic grid because it makes it that much more cheaper. And so therefore, Telangana will be the first state in the entire country to have a fiber optic broadband network to each and every household in the state. Imagine the possibilities. Imagine the possibilities. Once you have a wired connection in each and every home, e-commerce, e-health, education, imagine the possibilities. I mean, you're only limited by your imagination. So that's the kind of program we have taken up. Another thing we are also focused on is digital literacy. We want to have a digitally literate person in each and every household. Once again, 8.5 million households. And we've taken it upon ourselves. And also in partnership with various private sector players, we are encouraging digital literacy program as well. The other thing we are also doing, we're transforming governance from e-governance, which was a thing of the past, to M-governance. And I'm saying this with a great deal of satisfaction. In fact, I don't know how many of you have driven in India. How many of you actually drove a car or a bike in India? How many of you? Oh, lots of you. All right. Have you ever been stopped by a traffic cop? A lot of you again. What happened then? Did you show him your registration card, insurance card, pollution card, everything, or did you just... Okay. Malum hai main kaun hu? I know. What we've done is, we understand that governance is all about transforming that life of a citizen. So therefore, we've come out with an app. It's called the Mobile Wallet, where you can store your insurance card, your registration card, your pollution card, and a couple other things as well. So when a traffic cop stops you next time, you don't have to look for all of your cards. All you have to do is pull out your smartphone, show it to him, he'll accept it, you move on. So these are the kind of changes that India needs to alleviate the day-to-day, travails of a common man in India. That's exactly what we're doing. We are trying to ensure that at least 500 of our services, citizen-facing services, are made available on your mobiles. India today, I don't know if you're aware of this, has probably one of the highest usage of smartphones. India today has almost 1 billion phones, out of which 40% are smartphones. Because as the costs are becoming lower, as the cost is getting lower, the option to actually get a good smartphone at a very affordable price is becoming more and more available. We are also trying to bridge the rural-urban divide by way of e-panchayats, by way of providing that last-mile connectivity to the rural population in India and especially in Telangana. And lastly, but not the least priority in our book, when it comes to attracting investments, it's not just about tax incentives, it's not just about land, it's not just about power, it's not just about infrastructure. It's also the social capital. What kind of a healthcare system there is, what kind of education facilities there are, what kind of entertainment options there are, what kind of hospitality options there are. So we are also focused on that. And therefore, we are in fact promoting what is called the Happening Hyderabad series. And we have an event every so often. In fact, now today, Hyderabad, when we assumed office and when I started talking about EDMs, electronic dance music, people laughed at us. People scoffed, at the thought of a minister in a government talking about EDM. So today, I'm proud to share with you an event which used to happen annually in Goa called the Sunburn. Today, Hyderabad has taken that position, and we have conducted more EDMs in the last 1 year. And Hyderabad today is the MICE capital, meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions capital in the entire country. Therefore, the social capital part of it also is very much available. And by way of policies within IT, we've come out with specific focus. Our electronics policy basically encourages manufacturing and provides employment to blue-collar workers, people who've completed their ITIs, people who've just completed their polytechniques, people who've just completed their graduation, or people who've just passed a 10th grade. That gives an opportunity in manufacturing sector to provide employment, to gain employment. The rural technology policy, we are very, very upbeat about this. In fact, we are extremely kicked that Raju Reddy has actually chosen to launch one of his offshore centers in a remote part of Telangana, in a place called Kamareddy, which is about 100-odd kilometers from Hyderabad. He's decided to launch his BPO there. And there are several other examples. There is another BPO that recently came up in a place called Jangam, again another small town, which is about 70 kilometers from Hyderabad. There are so many more other examples which are really encouraging us that IT sector will eventually, even if it is lower end of the IT, it will move to the tier 2 cities. The other thing, like I said, which we're extremely proud of, is our innovation policy. TiE is not just enough. TiE is a platform for tech startups. Now we are in the process of building what is in the lines of a tech shop, what is a prototype lab, basically, to ensure even hardware innovation happens in a big way in Telangana. We are building also incubators in tier 2 cities in association with academic institutions. We are also creating a fund directly supported by the government for startups. So that is the kind of ecosystem we have created. The other thing we are again very, very upbeat about is Image City. Image stands for innovation in animation, media, innovation in media, animation, gaming, and entertainment. So today, when you see a Life of Pi, or Avatar, or Chota Beam, for those of you who know, a lot of this work gets outsourced to India, and a lot of this work is actually happening in Hyderabad as well. So this sector, again, we believe will be one of the next waves of growth also. And the last thing I want to mention, we are a pioneering state when it comes to effecting changes, and therefore, our Honorable Chief Minister, as you may have seen on the right-hand side, the top bracket up there, recently a survey was conducted as to who the most popular Chief Minister is after the recent 2014 elections. Very happy to share with you, our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao, with 86% approval ratings, is the most admired and liked Chief Minister in the country. That is because of the kind of projects that we have taken. We have chosen to connect and give tapped water connection through Mission Bhagiratha to almost 10 million houses. We also chose to restore the 45,000 lakes by way of Mission Kakatiya to conserve water, to preserve and ensure that every single drop of water that trickles in is conserved and preserved. Harita Haram is another very, very favorite, it's a huge subject which is very close to our Chief Minister. It's his favorite subject. He is embarking on a mission which is unheard of. This is a third largest effort in human history to plant nearly 230 crore saplings. I can't convert it into millions. For those of you Americans, please make that math yourself. I get confused. 230 crore saplings in the next 5 years, which will take our forest cover from 25% to 33%. Again, fiber grid, which I just mentioned, industrial policy. Last but not the least, we are the only state in the country which has mandated gender education to ensure women are respected, are definitely given the right kind of opportunities. These are all the awards we won. In the last couple of years alone, these are all the awards we won for the various activities that we have chosen to embark upon. And the impact, as you can, the biggest of the biggest names in the world, corporate world today, are looking at Telangana with an intent. Our goal is simple. When the world looks at India with an intent, we want them to consider Telangana as their first choice and first most preferred choice. Hyderabad today definitely is looked at, as I mentioned, as one of the top-notch destinations for IT in India. But we want Hyderabad to scale up and become one of those destinations in the world as well. Well, last but not the least, very, very soon, and with the support of some of you big entrepreneurs here, we are going to create the outpost of TiE Hub in Silicon Valley very, very soon. The idea being, if a WhatsApp was valuated in India, I don't think it would have gotten $19 billion. So the point is, any idea is only as good as its valuation in today's world. So therefore, we are creating an outpost here, and we'll be bringing in some of the bright young Indian guys here so that their presence is also made felt here. And one last thing I'd like to add. I completely agree with Ven. Today's world is not about startups anymore. I think I can't call my state a startup state anymore also, because we've been around for 2 years, and in the startup world, 2 years is a long time. So therefore, I think today's world is about scaling it up. It's about scale up, not startup. I think in today's world, starting up is easy. Anybody can dabble in that. But scaling up is a challenge. That's where I see a huge opportunity for a collaboration between Telangana and to all of you gentlemen and ladies in the Silicon Valley. We present this opportunity from the most progressive, proactive state in India today for a partnership wherein you can invest with us and wherein you can partner with us also. We want our state to scale up in terms of promoting entrepreneurship, in terms of creating more employment, in terms of creating wealth, in terms of espousing all the causes that you reeled out when you said this is what TiE had set out to do about 25 years ago. So the spirit of TiE and the spirit of the state of Telangana are pretty much in alignment. We look forward to a long and fruitful association. Thank you very much. Appreciate this opportunity.